So I got another email where someone said, here's the letter. It said, "Hi, Dr. Reynolds. I know you have said that the FDA has no concerns about PRP, but this article would suggest otherwise. I would appreciate it if you would let me know what you think." And then the link is to this stem cell analysis article. So let's go through it. Letters from regulators misbranding and adulteration of the PRP device. This is a second post of the series Letters from Regulators. I'll analyze issues with regulation of cellular products, resulting in letters or other actions from regulatory agencies. Today I'd like to look at untitled letter by the FDA to Region Lab regarding the use of platelet-rich plasma, making the device Region Kit THT. The letter was issued by April 2013. Not recent, but demonstrative. There are a number of companies, mostly in cosmetic surgery or orthopedics or sport medicine, which use PRP or adipose tissue-derived stem cells for point-of-care treatments. These companies frequently advertise and market PRP procedures as cell therapy or stem cell therapy. The devices for making PRP or adipose-derived stem cells could be cleared by the FDA as 510K for particular indications. However, companies and clinics attempt to use such devices for other non-intended indications or off-label use. So let's stop and analyze this first paragraph. PRP and or adipose tissue-derived stem cells are not thought of as the same by the FDA. They are not. So we'll get to more of that later, but let's look at this chronology of events. Stryker got FDA approved for the Region Kit THT as a 510 device. FDA cleared the letter with the following indication: autograft or allograft bone for orthopedic surgical. They signal agreement with Region Lab for distribution. American breach of Region Lab got a letter from the FDA. So false advertising. FDA came across the Region Lab and Eclipse Aesthetics websites and brochures which advertised the Region Kit for cosmetic purposes, deemed in the media as the vampire lift. Blah, blah, blah. The use of Region plasma, known for a variety of reasons. Blah. So the companies cited FDA clearance of the device as justification for its clinical use in cosmetic procedures. So here's the thing. This is not a doctor. This would be like a drug. This would be like your Allergan rep talking about some off-label use of Botox, which they cannot do, or using Juvederm for some off-label use. The last time I checked, it's only for nasolabial folds, and your Allergan rep cannot teach you something other than nasolabial folds. Voluma has other indications, and they can teach that. But doctors all over the country teach classes about the ways to use Juvederm in the face that are not on label. Almost everything that you learn in literally hundreds of classes across the country in the United States about how to use Juvederm are off-label uses, but they're off-label uses being taught by a physician, not by being taught by Allergan. So yes, when Eclipse, who was marketing Region in the cosmetic space, Stryker was using it, marketing it in the orthopedic space. Same company, the Region was the same company, but Eclipse had the exclusive to market it in the cosmetic space. When they started talking about ways to use the kit that were not indicated, they were talking off-label. It would be exactly like an Allergan rep talking about an off-label use of Juvederm. But just like the doctors can teach Juvederm off-label, they can teach use of plasma off-label. Now, plasma is not the same as stem cells. The FDA is getting ready, I can almost promise you, they're getting ready to start slapping doctors around that are using stem cells, because stem cells are not PRP, even though PRP scientifically recruits stem cells to the area. Using PRP is not it's a different level. PRP still falls in the minimal manipulation. So you can take blood from one part of your body and put it in another part of your body. But you can't take fat cells and do all sorts of amazing things to them and extract stem cells out of it and then still call that minimal manipulation. So then it starts to look more like a drug to the FDA. Right or wrong, that's the way it is. So these are two different, this is apples and oranges. Apples and oranges saying PRP and stem cells in the same sentence as if they're the same, and apples and oranges, calling drug companies and doctors using something as the same, which this author does later. Not saying this isn't a brilliant person, but this is a confusing article in my opinion. At least it's confusing some of our providers, which is why I'm going through it. FDA letter summary. The agency says that region was cleared only for particular intended use, orthopedic, therefore is misbranded and adulterated because there's no, that you can't claim for the cosmetic use. So the FDA requested the cease using of the marketing for the unapproved use, not cease using of PRP and not cease using for doctors. We had, I don't know, probably 500 doctors on the website at the time the FDA sent this letter to Eclipse. None of the doctors got the letter because the doctors are using the blood off-label just like they use Juvederm off-label, and there's been no serious side effects. But the blood is governed by a medical board, and the way that doctors use Juvederm outside the use indicated by Allergan's 510K indication is governed by a medical board, not by the FDA. The FDA wants to make sure of this. Stop and take a breath. Here's very simple. The FDA wants to make sure that if you have a device, you talk about the use of that device. If you're selling the device, if you're the device salesperson, you can only talk about what the FDA has approved that device to do. Once the device is in the doctor's hands, or the drug or the blood, then the doctor can teach and learn ways to use it that are not approved by the FDA. Just like another analogy is, if a doctor uses a medical suture, then that definitely needs, the FDA needs to be out there. It would be the wild, wild west. We would be hurt without the FDA. They may not be perfect, but they're better than what most countries have, and they do a good job, I think, in keeping things straight. And the FDA does not tell the doctor, however, how to suture a wound. The FDA is there to make sure that the suture material in the doctor's hand is truly sterile and is truly going to either dissolve or stay there according to whatever the indication is. So concluding remarks, and here's where I think it's confused some of our people. There is no legal way for off-label use of PRP making devices. This is where this author gets sideways. There's no legal way for a company to market off-label use, but there is a legal way for off-label use of PRP devices, just like there's a legal way every day in this country. Everybody who's using Juvederm is using it off-label and teaching it off-label because we know how to use it, and the company's not going to go back and spend another $10 zillion to say, okay, you can also use Juvederm here in the mouth, and you can use Juvederm here in the brow and here in the cheek. The company Allergan is going to stop with the indication for nasolabial folds and then proceed and let doctors use it, and that's good medicine. So this is wrong. This statement is just wrong. There is a legal way, and it's being done every day. And we have over 500 doctors on our Vampire Facelift website and our O-Shot website and our Private Shot website that are using it legally, just like Juvederm. Next sentence, the PRP service provider should adhere strictly to intended use Chapter 510 clearance. Wrong, wrong, wrong. If this were true, then everybody that's using Botox or Juvederm off-label would have to shut down. Wrong, 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 wrong. The FDA regulates advertisement and marketing claims of clear products and devices. True, absolutely true, for the person selling the device. Providers can have serious problems with the agency if promote and advertise PRP devices. Yes, this is true if they're promoting and selling the device, but if they're talking about the way they're using the device, and like Juvederm to change the way the mouth looks or the way the cheek works, then they are absolutely within bounds as a provider, but not as a salesman. So this is a mixed up sentence. Providers versus promote PRP devices. Providers don't usually promote promote devices, although they are when they're promoting Juvederm. With our procedures, we're promoting the procedure, not the device. Although the cell field people try to get us to promote their device, it's actually, we're not selling a device. We are promoting ways we might see results with the plasma that's produced by the device, okay? Using such wording as stem cells, growth factors, and metabolic activity of the cells, evidence, whatever. Stem cells, I agree. Again, it's apples to oranges. We're not processing stem cells when you use PRP. We are using growth factors, but we're not using stem cells. The growth factors, though, are coming from the blood, okay, that's made by the device. Metabolic activity of the cells, evidence for safety and efficacy. I don't know where that's coming from. Unfortunately, companies with cleared PRP devices continue to advertise it. Companies with the devices, I don't know what's going on there. It's not my business. I don't sell any devices, and I recommend that our providers not be selling devices. Be careful, because it could cross you over into the salesman category. And I think you might need to pick one of the two, be a provider or be a salesperson, but it might be tricky if you're doing both. So, but this is confusing because if you're a salesperson, yes, if you're selling the device, you cannot talk off-label about claims that haven't been proven to the FDA. If you're a provider, it's done all the time. Someone estimates something like 60% of what an oncologist, the prescriptions he writes, are off-label. But off-label not as in experimenting on people, but off-label as in research to support the idea. For example, if you have lots as in over 8,000 papers showing some results with plasma in different parts of the body, should you have to do another research paper to show that if it helps the tissue, soft tissue and blood flow and collagen of the ankle, that you have to do the whole study again that it would help collagen and blood flow in the face or the penis? So anyway, the warning levels have all been to salespeople that have gotten overzealous and tried to do what the doctor should be doing. So hopefully that helps you and clears up some of this. Now, it doesn't mean we don't need to be continuing with our research. We have another paper that will be released with lichen that was in the Journal for the American College of Dermatology. We have registries going now for the OSHOT. We need to be thinking about what we're doing. We need to be research-based, but there's a difference between the FDA regulating, in summary, there's a difference between the FDA regulating what you can say about a device that you are selling to make profit from the device versus what a doctor can teach about what he or she has observed from taking the medical literature and applying it to what's being done with that device, whether it be a suture material, Juvederm, or blood. And stem cells are probably going to get regulated as a drug in the very near future. Be careful. And I'm not sure that's good or bad. I'm just saying that's probably where we're headed. And be careful if you're a doctor selling kits or if you're a kit manufacturer, salesman trying to be a doctor. Be very, very careful. And I know of some sales reps out there that have tried to become teachers of these procedures. Be very, very careful. Yes, that does make my blood pressure go up. If you're selling kits, be very, very, very careful. Okay, hopefully this helps. And we will stay close to the science and close to doing things as straight as we can, which is what we should be doing, is what we are doing, and we are advancing the science, and we're absolutely staying up to date and careful and within bounds and paying attention to the FDA because we need them, and they do a good job. Okay.